minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Thirty seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this. And now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
I have to admit, today is a very strange day. A very strange day. There's some weird news out there today. Just weird stories. You have the Breonna Taylor issue I want to talk about in a second. We have Democrats accusing Donald Trump of trying to not accept the terms of the election, even though it's Hillary Clinton that's told Joe Biden not to accept the results of the election if he ends up losing. So some really weird news out there today. The things that make you go, Hey, welcome into the show. We got a lot to get to today. Broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation on the flagship in Wichita, Kansas, KQAM, all over the country on radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting. Doesn't matter where you're at, how you're watching or listening. Thank you. Appreciate it very much. We have a lot of fun to get to today. So it's been a while since we've had both of these guests on actually today. At the bottom of the hour, we're going to have Karen Straughan. She is a YouTube show host, and she has the show, or at least the channel Girl Writes What? And she's going to be talking about Netflix and the Cuties, which I don't know. I don't have Netflix, obviously, in front of me right now. I need to go home and check it tonight. There's a rumor that they've actually changed the name of the show Cuties back to the original French version of it because so much outrage happened with Cuties. So I don't know whether that's true or not. We'll talk with her about that and the advocation of her to try and actually cancel your Netflix and see what we can do about this whole Cuties issue. In fact, there's actually legislation trying to be proposed to go after Netflix for trying to advocate for pedophilia or for bad things with children. So I want to talk about that coming up at the bottom of the hour today. We have Jill Biden that has come out and said that it's not Jill Biden, it's her ex-husband. Jill Biden's ex-husband said that Joe lied about how they met and lied about covering up infidelity with their marriage. I know, right? So, like we really care, but It's there, so we'll get to all that and more coming up on the show today. It's a whatever today is. It's a weird day. Again, it's blurred. I think it's a Wednesday. It's the post Monday, the pre Friday, and I'm excited for our guest here on the line with us right now. We've had him on many times before, and in a great area of the country. I am dying to get to Boston, Massachusetts one of these days. One of these days. I am dying to get out there. I'm dying to have some clam chowder. We have listeners out there that download the podcast en masse around that area, which is awesome because I don't even know anybody in that area except for this guest. So I'm thinking that it's maybe his fans that are listening to the show and he's on. So we're excited to have him on. He's the host of Business, Politics, and Lifestyle that airs on WCRN 830 in metro area of Boston. Also author of the book My Big Mouth and the Ugly Truth, Taking the Stress Out of Opinions versus Facts. It's Mr. Gary Goldman hanging out with us again. Gary, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, Andy. Thank you for having me on this afternoon. And there is a lot going on in the news, and today is a very strange Wednesday.
It's a very strange Wednesday. Let's talk about some of this. So we have the decision that came down from Breonna Taylor. There was already threats of civil unrest with the decision if they didn't come down hard on the 3 police officers, which they did not come down hard on the 3 officers. 2 of them got away. Didn't get charged with anything. There was an indictment of one of the officers, but it was kind of a not really what I think some of the civil unrest individuals wanted. Is it was first degree wanton endangerment, but that was about it. So what do you think is going to come of this after this announcement? Is there going to be more civil unrest? Do you think there's going to be more riots in the streets, or will this satisfy, do you think, some of that crowd?
I don't think it will satisfy the crowd. I think the main objective of a lot of those individuals is to continue this civil unrest on the streets of America, and this will just give them another reason why to keep marching forward. It's absolutely unacceptable. Who knows what's going to take place tonight? And I've been looking on some news feeds all afternoon, and cities across this country are being prepared for the unknown tonight, Andy, because they just don't know what's going to happen. But this unrest, again, protesting. Civil protests are fine. What is happening in America, which is nothing more than domestic terrorism on a nightly basis, has to come to an end.
It really does have to come to an end. Now, the big question, let's talk about how the Democrats respond to this. They brought on Kamala Harris as an attorney, as a prosecuting attorney general from the state of California, to try and bring law and order. Joe Biden says that we shouldn't have riots in the streets. That's after, by the way, the Democrat Party endorsed kind of the civil unrest for the whole summer. Now they're saying it's a bad thing. The administration of Joe Biden doesn't want that sort of thing. What do they do now? Do they come back and can say, well, you know what, the Attorney General's right, we support law enforcement, we support the rule of law, and we don't want the civil unrest? Or do they come back and say, you know what, all justified because it's totally uncalled for this whole shooting, and therefore it's okay if you go out and cause the civil unrest? How do they respond to this?
Well, I think they do what they've been doing. They'll come out and do exactly what you said. Hey, we don't want the civil unrest. Wink, wink. And at the same time, they're giving the green light for these organizations to go out and destroy cities across this country. And look, Biden ought to be ashamed of himself. Putting Kamala Harris in there and what she has to say to me is totally irrelevant. We know what she really wants. She goes along with many of these, the squad and other people across this country who want civil unrest on our street. They're saying what they're saying now because they know the hole they're in regard to the election.
Yeah, I think they're starting to realize it's kind of a losing battle. Many of the minority leaders in different communities are already going towards Trump as well. The poll numbers are going down for Biden, even a lot of those swing states, and even states like Minnesota, which I never thought would actually see a Republican. I don't know. I'm seeing many. Maybe, are you seeing the same thing? Are we seeing some of these states that I never really would have considered a red state to go red for Trump this year?
Yeah, and I think we should, on one hand, thank the Democrats, and the other hand, be very upset for what they've allowed to go on. Yeah. But that is exactly what's going to happen. Look, at the American people, we have a lot of differences with the different candidates, but the one thing they don't want, Andy, is to wake up and hear about looting, rioting, and their cities being destroyed. And again, New York City, Seattle, Portland, Minneapolis now, wondering why their cities are still under, being brutalized every evening. Well, when you reduce the police, that's what happened. So the Democrat, Republican, or the independent insignia doesn't matter at some point. People do not want to tolerate this type of behavior. Look, they're destroying people's livelihoods. They're destroying people's security. New York City, people are leaving in record numbers because they're afraid to be there. So there are people that are going to switch and say, look, we've got to go with this guy, Trump. He's a law and order guy, and he's living up to what he said he was going to do. And I think that's what you're going to see throughout this country. I think, personally, and I've been saying this for a long time, that Trump's going to win with a landslide. He needs a landslide, but he's going to win big.
I'm right there with you. I think he's going to win in a landslide, especially, I mean, even the big cities here. When we have the government come out and say that there are 3, quote-unquote, anarchist jurisdictions because law enforcement won't do anything, and they include New York City, Seattle, Washington, and Portland, Oregon, which are very big cities, very much run by Democrats. I'm sure that that's not a good label the Democrats want to have going into an election season, and that's only going to anger a lot of the voter base and turn them to the other side because they may be progressive, but they don't want anarchy in the streets, which is what we're seeing right now. And Trump, I think, has been handling it perfectly by going to these areas and talking at the airports and actually having rallies that people are turning out to. Joe Biden goes to try and speak at them, and he waves at an empty field and then tries to speak with nobody around.
Right, exactly. And look, the American people are annoyed. We have this social contract, Andy. We pay our taxes, you protect us. You can't have governors and mayors deciding they're not going to live by those rules and then sort of laugh at the taxpayer and says, too bad, we don't believe in that. We believe in these, what they're still calling civil protests, as they're ruining their cities. The American people don't want that, and they're not going to take it. And never mind during this election, each cycle within states where the governors and mayors are up for re-election, it's the people that have to make the change. Because if I lived in New York or I lived in Seattle and Portland, I would definitely be voting out my elected officials and starting from scratch, because what they have done in a short period of time is going to take years and years to rebuild the cities physically and rebuild the cities psychologically, give people the confidence to move back.
Yeah, that's very true. We're talking with Gary Goldman, author of the book My Big Mouth and the Ugly Truth, Taking the Stress Out of Opinions versus Facts. I see not only a swinging of the pendulum in elections, I also see maybe an increase in legal issues and court cases. I've heard that many cities now are actually getting lawsuits against the cities for not actually handling this, because if we're paying our taxpayer money to fund law enforcement, to pay firefighters, to pay, for emergency personnel, and they're not doing their job when there's riots and protests and people burning down buildings in the street, then there's going to be a lawsuit, because what the heck am I paying my taxpayer money for? Then we have the businesses that are being shut down due to COVID-19 and, buying all this stuff for PPEs and still not being able to open up at full capacity. And even here in the state of Kansas, our attorney general said, well, yeah, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for litigation for businesses to go after local municipalities in the state itself for shutting you down and for hardships that what was caused during COVID. I'm sensing maybe 2021 is going to be the year of litigation. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a year of big litigation. The only problem with that, litigation takes a long time. You've got to start somewhere, so you have to file the suit. But the bottom line is we need to get these cities back open. We need to get people back at work. We need to get businesses so people open, so people can put food on their table. And whether it's for COVID or just, because of the violence that's going on, when you have, and the other part of this that's not being told, obviously, by the mainstream media, you have a lot of rogue DAs out there that are letting these criminals, whether it's BLM members or just Antifa, off the hook. They may be arrested. There's no bail. They're back on the street the same night. A law enforcement officer who gets involved in a shooting in New York City will spend more time in jail than a criminal. It's hard to believe, but that's what's going on right now.
It really is. Let's shift gears just a little bit here, and let's talk about kind of the election, but some of the news that doesn't get reported very much. We hear the big news right now is Breonna Taylor and the decision that came out there and the concern about the civil unrest, because that's what everybody knows, and that's what the media and the establishment or the deep state or whoever it is that we're talking about wants people to be focused on right now. Right. The other story that came out at the exact same time today was the story of Hunter Biden receiving $3.5 million in wire transfers from Russia while we accused Donald Trump of colluding with Russia for the election. Is this going to make big news, or is this going to be swept under the rug because everybody's going to be concerned about protests in the streets?
It should be all over every news broadcast and story going forward, but it's not going to happen. The mainstream media will cover for it, and they will use, exactly, this couldn't have come at a better time. They will use the violence in the street, using the police are out of control, and it's white supremacy and we're going to go through this whole thing again tonight, tomorrow night, the next few nights over this. But they'll use that to decoy the Hunter Biden story, which is big news. I'm still upset that nobody's been charged in the first Russian collusion incident. I know that will come. I'm hoping it will come, though I lose a little more confidence as time goes on. But this is bigger. This story is bigger because the hypocrisy of this story makes it that much bigger.
Yeah, it's sad. But you know what? It proves our point that we're winning on the end because they're desperate, and I think their desperation showing just a little bit. What do you think?
No doubt about it. They're very desperate. I do not believe the Democrats know which way to turn with the upcoming election. And my only concern is what they're going to try and pull on Election Day with the mail-in ballots and, the extensions they're giving, which is wrong right there, Andy. November 3rd is the day your ballot should be in November 3rd. I think you talk about a legal fight. I think we're going to have a legal fight come November, December, and that's why the Supreme Court appointment is so important right now.
That's very true. We got about 10 seconds left, but do you think we're going to get that Supreme Court justice in and confirmed before the election?
Yes, I do. I think I firmly believe it's going to happen, especially when Mitt Romney, former governor of here in Massachusetts, not one of my favorites, but when he turned on this, I said, there's some hope here. I think we can pull this off.
Man, I would love it. I love it. Gary Goldman, we appreciate it very much. Author of My Big Mouth and That Ugly Truth. You can go and check it out at all the bookstores. We appreciate the time, my friend. It's always good to talk to you. We got to get you back on again here real soon.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Hey, you as well. Appreciate that very much. All right, we got a lot to get to here on The Voice of Reason. We have Jill Biden's ex-husband speaking out. We have Hunter Biden back in the news. We have Cuties on Netflix. There's way too much going on, plus election season. All that and more coming up here on a Wednesday on The Voice of Reason. Don't go anywhere.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at Hoosier.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on The Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the show. Thanks for hanging out with us today on whatever today is, Wednesday. I tell you, it's all a blur this week. There's so much crazy in the world today. So we try and break it all down and try and bring some reason and common sense back into it. So welcome in radio, TV, live streaming, wherever you may be, online at HooserReason.com. Again, please make sure to go to HooserReason.com. We have a newsletter coming out in another week? Craziness how quick that goes. So make sure to sign up for the newsletter. Just become a Hoosier-holic by going online to HooserReason.com. When it pops up and says, do you want to become a Hoosier-holic? You say, heck yeah, I do. You type in your email. It's free. We're not going to spam you with a whole bunch of garbage. We just send you a monthly newsletter. Maybe something else during the month if there's something really special or really big going on, which we have not done in a while. So just sign up. It's awesome. We appreciate that very, very much as we continue to grow and expand each and every day. It seems like podcast-wise, people are enjoying the interview we had yesterday with Joy Villa as well. She was really cool to talk to, and our podcast numbers continue to grow all over the place as well in the talks with more affiliates for the show, radio and TV as well. So stay tuned in for more information on those. Until then, we are trying to cram that 10 pounds of reason into that 5-pound bag, trying to rebrand that millennial generation, one radio listener at a time. So welcome into the show. And here's the story that I don't know, is it big or not? I don't know. Let's check it out.
What's trending today?
All right, here we go. So, as you know, they've been trying to go on the attack with Donald Trump lately, and they always come out in nice timed sequence. As soon as you kind of forget about it and move on, they come up with a new one, and then you kind of forget about it, move on, then come up with a new one, and it's all the same routine. Woman after woman, Trump attacked me, he assaulted me, he came after me, all these stories, and it's always the same thing. It's never anything different, and they think that if they say it long enough and enough times, then you'll begin to believe it. Or maybe it's true and they just can't believe that we just don't care. But they come out with these over and over and over and over, thinking that, okay, all of a sudden now he's bad enough, he's done this enough times, we're not going to support him or believe in him any longer. And that's what they believe. And it's all timed and it's all sequenced and it's a bunch of garbage because we have better things to worry about. You know what? What you do in your personal life, no matter how screwed up it may be, it doesn't matter. Do you have the right policies? Are you doing the right thing for the nation? Then you know what? Good for you. Yes, character matters. Character matters a lot. However, at the same time, if you're going to leave me alone and deregulate my life and keep the economy going and bring back my job, I'm going to be kind of happy. And that's why Donald Trump got elected. And that's why the left can't understand, which I find ironic because they're the ones that always have the promiscuous things because they believe in promiscuous things. In fact, according to the Free Beacon, Joe Biden's ex-husband has now come out and made a claim right before election time. Now, will this matter in the election? Probably not. I don't know if this is staged. I don't know if this is supposed to damage him to some degree. I don't care. Doesn't make any difference to me one way or another. Joe Biden lied about meeting his wife Jill on a blind date, and their 43-year marriage actually grew out of an extramarital affair. Jill Biden's ex-husband claims in an interview with Inside Edition on Monday. Bill Stevenson, who was married to Jill Biden from 1970 to 1975, told Insider Edition that he introduced Joe and Jill Biden in 1972, the year Joe Biden first ran for Senate. Quote, I was betrayed by the Bidens. Joe was my friend, Jill was my wife. Biden had long claimed that he met Jill, then a local model, when his brother Frank set them up on a blind date in 1975, 3 years after Biden's first wife, Nelia, and infant daughter were killed in a car accident. According to Biden, the couple saw a movie and fell in love. They married 2 years later. But Stevenson rejected this account, claiming that he brought the then-wife Jill to Biden's home in 1972, which is when the two first actually met. Right before the election of 72, Jill, Joe, Nelia, and I were in Biden's kitchen. And they had an affair, and then they got married. Well, I guess you could say that it was love at first sight and that they met each other and that they couldn't stay away. So I guess kudos to him for staying somewhat, I guess good to her, but who cares? I don't care. Joe Biden doesn't remember what color pants he's wearing most of the day. How is he going to remember the real facts of how he met his wife? He doesn't even know who his wife is half the time. But yeah, this is supposed to be big news. The breaking news of the attacks on Joe Biden. We can do better than that, can't we? We can do better than that. It's called policy and letting him shoot himself in the foot. Come on.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book, Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book? Maybe struggling with a relationship? Looking to take that next big career step? What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason, and I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the show, 35 minutes past the hour. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting, online at HooserReason.com. No matter where you may be, appreciate it very, very much. Each and every day. Trying to look at some of the places that we're getting the most response. Virginia, I don't know where you came from. Virginia, you're awesome. Kansas, obviously, where we're at here. California, Texas, Michigan. It's all over the place. A lot of representation, especially on the online social media right now. You can follow us there, leave comments, say hi to us, call me a jerk. I don't really care. It doesn't matter. Also with radio and TV, places all over the place as well. We thank you so much for that. I'm excited with our next guest. I want to shift gears for just a minute here. I don't need to hear about Jill Biden and her extramarital affairs. That's not going to do anything with the election. Joe Biden doesn't remember what color pants he's wearing right now. He's not going to remember how he met his wife. Doesn't even remember who his wife is half the time when he tries to introduce her on stage. I'm excited with our next guest. It is, if you remember all the way back when we did the podcasting at the beginning of the year, we had her on, and we haven't talked to her since, and I feel bad because I loved having her on the show, and now we need to make her a regular guest on here to talk about some of this because there's some weird things going on. She is a critic of feminism. She's an advocate online. She has her YouTube channel, Girl Writes What, and you can find her on youtube.com at youtube.com/girlwriteswhat. But Karen Straughan is hanging out with us here on the show. Karen, how are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm doing great, but I just wanted to let you know I totally think you're a jerk. And you told me I was allowed to say that.
That's
so
right. That's right. You are. It's okay.
Right.
I've been called worse. I tell you, doing political talk, you should, especially during election season, people get very antsy about certain issues, and they get very testy when you contradict some of the things they say.
Oh, try being a men's rights activist, honey.
I can only imagine what to advocate for quote-unquote men's rights and to talk about feminism. It is, I'm sure, is one of those where you get some of the most emotional responses, don't you?
Oh, I have internalized misogyny. I am a labia trader.
Wow.
You know, I am the worst of the worst. I'm essentially, I don't know, like an Aunt Jill. You know, like they really think that I must be coming at this from the position of, you know, I've been accused of so many things, right? You know, I'm an abused woman who's suffering battered women's syndrome, or I'm an abuser and I obviously abuse my kids. I even had one radical feminist tell me that, you know, she mentioned in a comment, and I got the comment notification otherwise because she deleted this part of the comment right afterwards. Or edited her comment to delete it. She accused me of you've probably been training your daughter to provide oral gratification to men, since she was 8 years old, since that's all you think women are good for.
Wow.
And then I think even she was so, as crazy as she was, even she thought twice about leveraging that. So
well,
I
yeah,
mean,
she
like,
backset this one, yeah.
Yeah, so she deleted that part of the comment, but it was in the email notification, and so yeah, I got to see that. So I mean, like, I've been called every name in the book.
It's terrible.
Racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, all kinds of things. And all I want is like fairness for men and boys. That's pretty much it. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, the fact that you don't have to degrade men. There's different definitions of what feminism is, and we talked with actually Joy Villa, the actress, yesterday on the show, and she talked about it a little bit as well. I see feminism as that you can be a strong woman and you have the ability to go out and pursue your dreams and do what you want to do and be strong-willed. That's why I married my wife. She is very strong-willed in that sense, but you don't have to degrade men and attack men in the process in order to be a feminist. Like, there's a line there, isn't there?
I agree. I came from a line of strong women. My grandmother was born in 1909 into rural poverty before women had the vote, and managed to, end up being the postmistress of her town and run the general store. And her husband was, he was younger than her, eyebrow-raisingly younger than her. They raised 3 kids. He essentially he worked physical labor jobs. He worked for a paving crew in the summers, and he worked as a rural mail carrier in the winters. And she was essentially, she was one of those women that she never sat down. She was always working, and never had any time for feminism.
Yeah.
Because she made it on her own, and she at age 28 was running an entire floor of a department store. So, and my mother was exactly the same. She was a person who would put a spade in the earth and, clear sod and, prep an area to pour a foundation to build a 2-car garage. She'd do that on her own.
That's awesome.
Wheelbarrow all of that out to the curb and help load it onto the truck. So, I mean, like, these are the women that I grew up with. And I'm looking at a lot of these feminists, and a lot of them are, they wouldn't even know how to change their own car tire.
Wow. Yeah, it's sad, but yet they want to be out there and complain. Well, and you mentioned, the kids and the attack that, they have against your child and how you're raising your kid and how bad that you must be raising your kid. I got attacked like that just a few weeks ago as well. But, I mean, it's major when it makes national news with this show of like the Cuties on Netflix. Let's talk about this for a second. If they're the ones criticizing you for how you're raising your kids to be just a slave to men, so on and so forth, because you're just trying to be submissive to men, how could anybody be supportive of a show like Cuties that's on Netflix trying to sexualize children?
It's unbelievable, and the defense is, there's a broader cultural commentary on how it's wrong to sexualize children. Right, but when you actually look at because I haven't watched the movie, and I don't think I'm going to, but when you actually look at some of the clips, right, there's just this one clip of these girls doing their dance routine at a competition, and all of the very attractive judges are getting into it, and they think it's great, and all of the sort of the parents who are against it, they all look frumpy and dour and like Morlocks. They're essentially Morlocks. I think they might be members of the Tea Party, right? And so I mean, you're looking at this. How is that providing a cultural commentary on how it's wrong to sexualize young people when all of the attractive people in the movie are all for it, and all of the unattractive people, the overweight people, the people who have faces that look like they were born out, and then somebody hit them in the face with a shovel right away. Like what? How is that? Like this is not the message that the movie puts across. And feminism has a long history of enabling this kind of thing. I read a paper, a few years ago. I wish I could find it again, but it is on. I saved it on a computer that I subsequently spilled wine on. But it was by a second wave feminist in 1986, I believe. And she was arguing that child sexual liberation would be the next wave of sexual liberation, and that it should be. And I was just like, oh my, like really, like this is gross. This is gross. But it just seems like, they really want to open everything up. They want no boundaries whatsoever. That has to do with sexuality. That has to do with sexual behavior. It has to do with gender identity and orientation. It has to do with everything. They want to open all the doors and let everything in and just throw the rule book away. And that seems to be what their agenda is. Like, no more rules. Just watch everything disintegrate, and then I guess have a Caligula-style orgy.
I don't know. I don't know what their end goal is here. It's sad, and as we see, the good news is that under the Trump administration, I know Europe and Canada, but you follow American politics quite a bit. We were talking about that off the air just a bit, but under the Trump administration, we've been able to catch a lot more human traffickers. We've been able to catch a lot more quote-unquote pedophiles and a lot of sex rings that go along all over the world, really. We've been able to catch more of these. The percentage that Trump has been able to catch compared to the previous administration with Barack Obama has been tenfold, which is really good to see. And maybe this is a response to that if it's not criminalized anymore and it's more openly accepted, it starts in Hollywood with them trying to create a dialogue and be quote unquote, I guess, controversial in order to just talk about a topic in an artistic way to make people start thinking in order for that to not be as criminalized anymore. I mean, is that the direction we're going here?
I think that is. I think that's the direction that it's being pushed. I don't think it's the direction that most people want to go. I don't think anybody, I think that there's an argument to decriminalize sex work for consenting adults who are not being, trafficked or coerced. But I do think that there is a need for protection for underage people, for women who are being coerced, who are being trafficked. Honestly, we need to find this middle ground between, maximum liberty, but there's no liberty for a woman who's being coerced or trafficked, or for a child who's being exploited. There's no liberty for them in granting the people who are exploiting them, who are trafficking or victimizing them, the liberty to do that, right? So it's essentially, when you kind of look at the whole picture, you can sort of see a nuance there, but
that's true. Hey, Karen, we got to take a hard break.
Can you stick over? Live with what they want.
No, that's true. Can you stick over one more segment with us? We'd love to continue this when we come back here.
Sure.
Well, let's do that. Let's stick over one more break here. We're going to take one more break, wrapping up the show. It's The Voice of Reason. Karen Straughan hanging out with us here. Stay here on The Voice of Reason.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HooserReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hooserholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into it. One segment left. Wrapping up the show goes by way too fast. The fastest hour in radio, all over the place, wherever you may be. Radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting online at HooserReason.com. Thanks for hanging out with us today. We appreciate it very, very much. Karen Straughan hanging out with us here on the show. Men's right advocate, critic of feminism. You can find her website, avoiceformen.com. Again, avoiceformen.com. Also on YouTube at youtube.com/girlwriteswhat. as she does different blogs and shows on there as well, and we appreciate her time very much. And Karen, we talked the last time that you came on the show months ago a little bit about this, but I like to revisit it with this whole issue with cuties and the sexualization of children. We're going in such a weird direction, and I was curious when it comes to the feminist movement on what's their thoughts, what's the mindset of a feminist when we have individuals wanting who are men who want to become women and be part of the feminist movement and then talk about the difficulties of being a woman. Is that going along with their jive? Do they like that, or do they think that's a little offensive because, well, you're not really a woman, so you don't really get the difficulties that we have to go through here?
That's the current civil war that's going on within feminism. Yeah, no, and J.K. Rowling is she's been massively targeted by the intersectional crowd, right? Who are sex worker positive and trans worker positive, so or trans positive. So they're called the sex worker exclusionary radical feminists, and the trans exclusionary radical feminists are called SWERFs and TERFs.
Wow.
And everybody else is intersectional, and they're very trans positive and sex worker positive. So, but what you have with J.K. Rowling is she's just like, hey, if you're trans, that's cool. I'm fine with you. I know trans people. I like them. Like the trans people I know, I really like. Live your best life. You do you, but there are some things intrinsic to being female that a trans woman does not really necessarily have any kind of experience with. And so biological sex is a real thing, and it matters, and so they wanted to essentially excommunicate her from the broader feminist movement for daring to say that biological sex is a real thing and it matters. And so the most tolerant lefty, right? The most, I guess, tolerant in the sense of, tolerant of the opinions of the hard left.
Yes.
Yeah. So she stepped over this. She put her toe over this one boundary, and that is the hill she will die on. Is defending the idea that biological sex is a real thing. So. Yeah, no, it's getting really weird out there, with the Desmond is Amazing kid. He's like 11 years old, and he's actually twerking in gay bars, in drag, and getting dollar bills stuck into his underpants, and and if that was a 12 or 13-year-old girl, everybody would be up in arms. But yeah, no. Instead, it's edgy and radical, and wow. And then you have the transgender library, kids story time, where a trans woman with still male genitals does the Lethal Attraction, Sharon Stone leg crossing move, and nobody bats an eye. It's all fine, and you have men walking around in gay pride parades with their genitals out in front of kids and behaving in very sexual, hypersexualized ways, and that's all fine. So I mean, it's
a very strange world. Yeah.
It is, and I don't want to knock the LGBTQ community, because I'm a member of the LGBTQ community, right? Like I don't want to. I'm not a member of the activist community.
Sure, but there's a line.
Like I'm not straight, so but there are limits, there are boundaries, and that we should not cross, and we're starting to cross some of those boundaries, and it's very worrying.
It is very worrying.
I think actually the LGBTQ community is very, very annoyed, because 45% of gay men are planning to vote for Trump.
Yeah, that's crazy. Karen Straughan, we're out of time, my friend. It's always good to talk to you. The hashtag cancel Netflix is a big one as well that you're pushing to try with that movie, Cuties. Until then, Karen, we got to get you back on the show again real soon. We appreciate the time very much.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. Until then, everybody have a great Wednesday. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.